The Fuji X-T3 is perhaps one of the best photography cameras that I personally have ever owned. And as a longtime Canon shooter using those cameras from about 2010 till 2020, I never thought I would see myself leave the Canon ecosystem for a completely different company. But in the fall of 2020, I was looking for a change. In fact, I needed an upgrade, and I already kind of talked about this in a previous video, but I basically blindly went into the Canon system solely based on videos that I saw here on YouTube. And now it's been over 2 years since I bought this camera, and here's my thoughts on why I think it's really great as a photography camera.
Firstly, I love this camera because of how easy it is to navigate. Having critical buttons and dials on the body itself makes it really quick and easy to change my settings on the fly. An aperture control on most lenses, and the ability to quickly turn the shutter speed or ISO, and just a quick menu to change between custom settings are just a few of the reasons that this camera is so easy to navigate, and one of the reasons that I do, of course, love it so much. And with that being said, the next feature that I absolutely love is the custom menu features. Having the ability to control things like highlights, shadows, and other fine-tuning allows me to create a series of custom settings that work great with my particular style of photography. See, I like my images to be around a medium sharpness level and have just enough vibrance and saturation. And I love having a nice high dynamic range so you could see a lot of detail in both the shadows as well as the highlights. And my goal when taking an image is to make it look as closely to the scene as possible, but also adding a little bit of twist and creative look to it based on my own preferences.
Next, I have never been a fan of shooting in JPEG only. In fact, the last time that I ever set a camera to JPEG only was because I didn't really know a lot about RAW, and that was back around 2009 when I was still actually shooting on Nikon, and I went to Haiti and shot all of my images in JPEG. Now, for the most part, a lot of those images are really good, but there's a lot of pieces that I would like to be able to edit, but they're really unsalvageable because they were shot in JPEG. There's not enough information there for me to make the changes and edits necessary. But with the Fuji system, and here on the X-T3, shooting in JPEGs can actually be a very valid option because these JPEGs are very beautiful. And the great thing about shooting JPEGs, of course, is the film simulations. A lot of your images are going to look great straight out of camera with minimal to no edits whatsoever. In fact, if I do go the JPEG only route when I'm out and about shooting, typically the only adjustments I might make in post is just very slight adjustments to white balance as well as exposure. But most of the time, I don't need to do that because of the custom settings in my camera that I already have set up.
So these film simulations are about as close to the actual styles of film that they represent as you can possibly get without actually buying a film camera and buying the exact film that goes and correlates with the simulation that you're trying to mimic. So if you are like me and like a particular style and look of a film, then all you have to do is set that information to your camera and go off and start shooting. So what we have here is a series of different recipes, but you don't have to follow these exactly. So what these recipes have been created for is to get as close to that film simulation as possible, but there's nothing that says that you can't go in and dial in settings and change things around to fit your own unique style. Now, if you want to find these film simulations for yourself, what you're going to do is go to fujixweekly.com/recipes. And then when you scroll on down the page, it's going to have all the different camera systems based on which one that you have. So in my case with the Fuji X-T3, the X-Trans 4 system is what we want to click on. And just to make sure that you do find the right system, you can go check this on Google, or when you click in here, you can actually see the categories. So we see the X-T3 and T30 are in here, the X100V, the Pro 3, the X-T4, and so on. There's a bunch of others. Now, there are certain options that you may not see in your camera, and it tells you all that information here, but you can get pretty close. And from that point forward, all you got to do is just scroll down through the list and find out which film simulation that you want. Once you click on that film simulation, it's going to open up that particular post, and then it's going to walk you through all the steps that you need to set in order to achieve that look and effect. And a lot of times it's going to tell you kind of situations that you might want to be shooting these photos in, if it's going to be better for portraits or landscapes, etc. But yeah, you just walk through the steps, put it into your camera, and you're good to go with your new film simulation.
And that's just a few of the reasons why I enjoy this camera so much. And the biggest thing of all is my camera just makes me happy when I'm out shooting photos. Whether I'm doing my own personal work, it's for my job, it's for clients, it doesn't matter. This camera really makes me happy. You know, at the end of the day, our cameras are just tools to aid us in creating the objects of our craft, our subject matter, our outputs, the work that we actually create these are just tools to help us create those things. But at least for me, my tool makes my job a lot easier. I don't have to fight with my camera, I know that I can depend on it, the battery life is great, it doesn't overheat, and it does everything that I tell it to do. You know, I'm not wasting time going through menus and trying to get settings to work or having issues with my lenses. Instead, I'm spending all my time creating and doing everything that it is that I wanted to seek out to do because my camera, my tool, allows me to do those things. So now I want to hear your thoughts. Whether you have a Fuji XT3, XT4, X100V, or whatever model you have, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about what it is that you like so much about your Fuji camera. Is it the picture profiles? Is it the custom options? Is it the dependability? Is it the look of your camera? What are your favorite things about Fuji? Let me know those and why down below. And finally, be sure to create something new today.